The wind whistled through the crystal trees as Amelia Clark walked along the forest path. Her boots crunched on the blue-tinted soil of Proxima Centauri b, the planet she now called home. She adjusted her sample bag and checked her oxygen levels. All good. She had 2 more hours before she needed to return to Frontier Outpost 37. Amelia loved these solo trips into the crystalline forest. As a junior botanist, her job was to collect and study the strange plants that grew on this alien world. Today she hoped to find the glowing moss that only appeared during this season. A flash of light caught her eye. Something metallic reflected the red sunlight through the trees. That was strange. There shouldn't be anything metal this far from the outpost. Hello? Amelia called out, then felt silly. No one else was scheduled to be in this sector today. Curiosity pulled her forward. She pushed aside a curtain of crystal vines and gasped. A massive ship, unlike any human vessel she had ever seen, lay half buried in the ground. It looked like flowing black glass frozen in time, with curves and angles that hurt her eyes if she looked too long. This isn't one of ours, she whispered to herself, activating her communicator. Only static answered. The strange ship must be blocking the signal. Protocol said she should mark the location and return to base immediately. Unknown alien technology was classified as a high-level threat, but something about the ship pulled at her, a feeling she couldn't explain. Amelia took out her scanner and swept it across the vessel. One life sign registered inside. Weak but present, someone's alive in there, she said. Rescue protocols overrode first contact restrictions. If someone was hurt, she had to help. She found what looked like an entrance, a seam in the smooth hull. As she approached, it rippled like water and opened. The ship was responding to her presence. Inside, the air was breathable but smelled like ozone and something sweet she couldn't name. The walls glowed with faint blue lines that pulsed like veins. The floor was solid but felt slightly springy under her boots. Her scanner beeped, directing her deeper into the ship. The corridors twisted in ways that didn't make sense. Sometimes she felt like she was walking on the ceiling or along a wall, but gravity never changed. Finally, she reached what seemed to be the central chamber. The room was large and dome-shaped, with the same black glassy material making up the walls. In the center floated what at first looked like a tangle of glowing ropes. As her eyes adjusted, Amelia saw that the ropes were actually energy filaments, pulsing with power. And trapped within them was a being. Amelia's breath caught in her throat. The alien was humanoid, but clearly not human. It stood at least 8 feet tall, with a slender body covered in scales that shifted colors like oil on water. Its limbs were long and graceful, ending in delicate claws. A ridge of what looked like crystal spines ran down its back, and 2 smaller ones framed its face. The face was what struck Amelia most. It was almost human-like in structure, but with sharper angles. The eyes were large and almond-shaped, with no whites, just swirling pools of color that reminded her of galaxies. The creature was bound by the energy filaments, which wrapped around its limbs and torso. Whenever it moved, the bonds tightened, causing obvious pain. The alien was a prisoner. When it saw Amelia, it went very still. Those galaxy eyes fixed on her with an intelligence that transcended any language barrier. "Hello," Amelia said softly, stepping closer. "I'm not going to hurt you." The creature tilted its head, studying her. When she came within a few feet of the energy barrier, her skin began to burn. She jumped back with a yelp. The alien made a sound, a soft trilling noise that somehow conveyed concern. "It's okay," she told it, though she knew it probably couldn't understand her words. "I'm fine." She tried to approach from another angle, but the energy field surrounded the being completely. There was no way to reach it without getting burned. The alien moved one clawed hand in a gesture that seemed deliberate. It pointed to its mouth, then to Amelia. "You're hungry?" she guessed. The being repeated the gesture. "Thirsty? You need water?" This time the alien made a motion like it was drinking something. "Okay, I understand. You need something to drink," Amelia nodded. "I can't get to you through this field, but I'll come back with supplies. I'll find a way to help you." The creature watched her with those swirling eyes. It didn't respond, but Amelia felt a strange connection, as if it understood her completely. "I'll be back," she promised. "Try to conserve your strength." As she turned to leave, Amelia noticed something on the floor near the energy field. It looked like writing, symbols etched into the material of the ship itself. She took photos with her scanner to study later. The journey back through the twisting corridors seemed shorter. At the entrance, she looked back into the alien vessel, feeling a strange reluctance to leave. When she finally emerged into the crystal forest, her communicator immediately began to beep with incoming messages. She had been gone for hours longer than planned, and the outpost was searching for her. "Clark here," she answered. "Sorry about the radio silence. You won't believe what I found. Amelia!" "Where have you been?" Nicole Winters, her supervisor, sounded both angry and relieved. "We were about to send out search teams. I'm fine. I discovered something in Sector 7. An alien ship, nothing like we've seen before. And there's someone inside. A living being trapped in some kind of energy restraint." There was a long pause. "Return to base immediately," Nicole ordered, her voice now sharp with authority. "Do not approach the vessel again. This is a first contact situation and possibly hostile. I'm informing security. But Nicole, this being is trapped. It needs help." "That's an order, Clark. Return now." "We'll discuss this when you're back." The communication ended. Amelia stared at her device, then looked back at the ship, barely visible now through the crystal trees. The alien's galaxy eyes seemed to follow her in her mind. Protocol said to obey orders. Regulations were clear about unauthorized contact with unknown species. But as she walked back toward the outpost, Amelia knew she would return. Something about those restraints, the obvious suffering of the being inside, called to her. Tonight, she decided. She would come back tonight with supplies, with something that might help. As the red sun of Proxima Centauri began to set, casting long shadows through the crystal forest, Amelia quickened her pace. She had preparations to make before nightfall. Amelia woke to the sound of alarms. Red emergency lights flashed through her small quarters. She jumped out of bed and grabbed her uniform. "All personnel report to emergency stations," the automated system announced. "This is not a drill." Her communicator buzzed with incoming messages. She checked it as she dressed. Multiple alerts from the security system, all focused on Sector 7, where the alien ship was located. Her heart raced. Had something happened to the alien? The corridor outside was filled with people rushing to their stations. Amelia joined the flow, heading toward the command center. Through the large observation windows, she could see the night sky above the crystal forest. It was lit up with strange green lightning, all emanating from the direction of the alien vessel. Inside the command center, chaos reigned. Security Chief Olivia stood before the main screen, barking orders. Nicole Winters looked pale as she studied incoming data. "What's happening?" Amelia asked a nearby technician. "Something's happening at the alien ship," he replied. "Massive energy readings off the charts. Like nothing we've ever seen." Olivia spotted Amelia and stalked over. "Clark, you're coming with us." "We need someone who's seen the inside of that ship." "You're going out there?" Amelia asked, surprised. Just yesterday they had been ordered to stay away. "We don't have a choice. Whatever's happening could threaten the entire outpost." Olivia's face was grim. "Gear up. We leave in 5 minutes." Soon Amelia found herself in the back of a transport vehicle, surrounded by armed security officers. They sped through the crystal forest, following the flashes of green light that pulsed across the sky. "If that thing is broken free, we may have to use lethal force," Olivia told her team. "We can't risk an unknown alien threat." "Wait," Amelia protested. "We don't know it's hostile. It was a prisoner. Maybe it just wants freedom." Olivia's eyes narrowed. "How do you know it was a prisoner?" "Your report only mentioned restraints." Amelia hesitated. She couldn't admit she'd returned to the ship. "It was just a feeling I got. The way it was bound seemed cruel." "Feelings aren't facts, Clark. Stay behind us and don't do anything stupid." As they approached the ship, the green lightning intensified. It arced from the vessel into the sky, illuminating the entire forest. The black hull now pulsed with the same energy, making it look alive. The security team positioned themselves around the entrance, weapons ready. Olivia motioned Amelia forward. "Is this the way you went in before?" she asked. Amelia nodded. "The entrance opened automatically when I approached." "Stay behind me," Olivia ordered. She stepped toward the ship, weapon raised. The hull rippled and the entrance appeared just as it had for Amelia. Inside, the blue veins that had lined the walls now glowed green, pulsing in rhythm with the lightning outside. The team moved cautiously through the corridors. Amelia noticed that the path had changed again, straightening out as if the ship wanted them to reach the central chamber quickly. It's reconfiguring itself, she whispered. What is? Olivia asked sharply. The ship. The layout is different each time. The security team exchanged nervous glances but continued forward. When they reached the central chamber, they all stopped short. The energy restraints that had held the alien were gone, melted into metallic puddles on the floor, and standing in the center of the room, free and fully upright, was the alien. It was even more impressive than Amelia had realized. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, its body gleamed with iridescent scales that shifted through colors with each breath. The crystal spines along its back and head glowed with internal light. Its long limbs moved with fluid grace as it turned to face them. Those galaxy eyes found Amelia immediately. Don't move, Olivia shouted, raising her weapon. The rest of the team followed suit. The alien tilted its head, studying them. Then, to everyone's shock, it spoke. Lower your weapons, it said in perfect English. I mean you no harm. The voice was melodic and strange, with harmonics that seemed to vibrate in Amelia's chest. It can speak our language, someone whispered. I can now, the alien replied. Your nutrient solution contained trace elements unique to Earth's biosphere. They provided the final catalyst needed to break the psychic dampeners in my restraints. Now I can access my full abilities, including your language. Who are you? Olivia demanded, her weapon still raised. What are you doing on our planet? My name is Lyrixian Vex. was, Admiral of the Draconis Defense Fleet. The alien's galaxy eyes showed something like sadness. My homeworld is gone, destroyed by the same enemy now approaching your solar system. Enemy? Olivia's grip on her weapon tightened. Instead of answering directly, Lyrixian raised one clawed hand. The air in the center of the room shimmered, and suddenly they were surrounded by stars, a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. We are here, Lyrixian said, indicating their position. Then its claw moved to another section of the map, where a strange darkness was spreading. They are here. The Void Confluence, a hive mind species that consumes all sentient life to add to its collective consciousness. The map zoomed in, showing a vast armada of ships unlike anything humans had built. They moved in perfect formation like a swarm of insects. They destroyed my world 3 cycles ago, Lyrixian continued. I was captured while trying to warn potential allies about the coming invasion. Why should we believe you? Olivia asked, though Amelia noticed her weapon had lowered slightly. Lyrixian looked at each of them in turn, its gaze lingering on Amelia. Because of this, it said softly. Suddenly, Amelia felt a gentle pressure in her mind, like a door opening. Images flooded in, a beautiful world with 3 moons and crystal spires rising from blue oceans. Cities filled with beings like Lyrixian, their scales shimmering in the light of a golden sun. Then darkness falling, strange ships appearing in the sky, destruction on a scale she could barely comprehend. Lyrixian, fighting desperately to save its people, being captured, tortured, imprisoned in the very ship that was meant to warn others. The images faded. Amelia gasped, tears in her eyes. Did you all see that? She asked. The security team looked confused. See what? One of them asked. Only she received the full vision, Lyrixian explained. We are connected now, through the act of compassion that freed me. Olivia looked skeptical. What act of compassion? Amelia stepped forward. I came back last night. I brought food, the nutrient broth. You did what? Olivia's anger was clear. After direct orders not to approach? It needed help, Amelia said simply. And now we need its help. Lyrixian nodded. The soup contained compounds that helped break the psychic dampeners in my restraints. That's why the chains melted. So what happens now? Nicole asked, speaking for the first time since they'd entered. Lyrixian's expression grew serious. Now you face a choice. The Void Confluence will reach your solar system within one of your Earth months. They will consume every sentient being on your planet, adding your consciousness to their collective. Your species will cease to exist as individuals. A heavy silence fell over the group. Unless, Olivia finally asked. Unless we stand together, Lyrixian replied. I can send a distress call to the remnants of my people. With the combined technology of both our species, we might have a chance. Might? Nicole looked doubtful. It is better than the certainty of extinction, Lyrixian said simply. The green lightning outside had faded now. Through the ship's walls, which had become partially transparent, they could see the first light of dawn touching the crystal forest. We need to report this to Earth Command. Olivia said at last. This is beyond our authority. Of course, Lyrixian agreed. But know that time is short. The confluence moves quickly once a target is identified. As they prepared to leave, Lyrixian approached Amelia. Up close, the alien was even more magnificent. Its scales contained depths of color she hadn't noticed before, and those galaxy eyes held ancient wisdom. Thank you, it said softly, so only she could hear, for seeing beyond fear. For bringing soup to a chained dragon. Amelia smiled at the reference. You knew I called you that in my mind. Our minds touched when I broke free. A partial bond formed between us. Lyrixian tilted its head. Such bonds are rare even among my kind. Before Amelia could ask what that meant, Olivia called for them to move out. As they left the ship, Amelia noticed that its appearance had changed. The black glass-like material now shimmered with subtle iridescence, similar to Lyrixian's scales. Back at the outpost, chaos erupted anew. Some wanted to quarantine Lyrixian. Others wanted to study the ship's technology immediately. Urgent communications were sent to Earth, but the response would take days to arrive. Through it all, Amelia stayed close to Lyrixian. She felt a strange protectiveness toward the alien, despite its obvious power and intelligence, and whenever the arguments grew too heated, she noticed Lyrixian would look at her, those galaxy eyes conveying both gratitude and concern. That night, as the outpost finally settled into an uneasy calm, Amelia stood on the observation deck looking out at the crystal forest. Lyrixian's ship glowed softly in the distance, a beacon in the darkness. You don't fully trust them, Lyrixian said, appearing silently beside her. Amelia wasn't startled by the alien's sudden presence. Somehow she had sensed its approach. I trust you, she replied, but humans fear what they don't understand. Amelia sat through the emergency meeting with her jaw clenched tight. Security Chief Olivia Martinez paced the room, her face stern as she spoke about quarantine protocols and potential threats. Until we know what we're dealing with, no one goes near that sector, Olivia said. Especially you, Clark, you've already had direct exposure. I wasn't exposed to anything, Amelia argued. The air inside was breathable, and that being in there is suffering. Nicole Winters shook her head. We don't know what it is or why it's restrained. Maybe there's a good reason for those bonds. You didn't see it, Amelia said quietly. The pain in its eyes. Eyes can deceive, Olivia replied. For all we know, this could be a trap. An invasion tactic. The meeting ended with strict orders. A security perimeter would be established around the ship, and no one was to approach until experts arrived from Earth. That would take weeks. Amelia returned to her quarters, but she couldn't get the trapped alien out of her mind. She pulled up the photo she'd taken of the strange symbols on the ship's floor. They looked like flowing lines that connected in complex patterns. Not like any language she knew, a message flashed on her tablet. It was from Dr. Lin, the outpost's medical officer. Come see me. Bring your scanner. 10 minutes later, Amelia sat in the small medical bay as Dr. Lin examined her scanner data. You're lucky you didn't get closer to those energy fields, the doctor said. The radiation readings are off the charts. But it's a strange type, pulsing rather than constant. What about the life form? Can you tell anything about it? Dr. Lin brought up the biosignature. Nothing concrete. But its metabolic readings are similar to some of our more exotic fish species. It might process nutrients in a comparable way. Amelia thought about this, so it could potentially consume human food? Possibly with the right modifications. Dr. Lin gave her a sharp look. Why do you ask? Just curious, Amelia lied. The doctor wasn't fooled. Amelia, whatever you're thinking, don't. Chief Martinez isn't making these rules for fun. Unknown alien contact is dangerous. Amelia nodded, but her mind was already working on a plan. That evening, she volunteered for inventory duty in the supply depot. While logging equipment, she discreetly collected a few items. A small drone, a specialized thermos used for transporting biological samples, and some basic medical supplies. Back in her lab, she worked quietly. The outpost's nutritional synthesizer could create a universal sustenance broth, a blend designed to provide basic nutrition for a wide range of metabolisms. It was used in first contact situations where alien dietary needs were unknown. As the red sun set and the night shift began, Amelia waited. The outpost's lights dimmed to simulate Earth's day-night cycle. She watched the security patrols on her tablet, noting their patterns. At midnight, she slipped out through the botanical gardens. A maintenance access led to a rarely used tunnel that emerged just outside the perimeter fence. The security detail was focused on the main entrance, not expecting anyone to leave from this direction. The crystalline forest was different at night. The trees absorbed the light of Proxima Centauri's two small moons, giving off a soft blue glow. Amelia moved carefully, using the trees for cover. Her tracker showed the ship was 2 kilometers ahead. When she reached the edge of the newly established security zone, she paused. Drones patrolled the area, but their pattern was predictable. She timed her movements between their sweeps. Finally, the black ship loomed before her, even more ominous in the moonlight. It seemed to absorb the darkness around it. As she approached, the same entrance rippled open for her. Inside, the blue veins in the walls glowed brighter than before, lighting her way. Had the ship recognized her return? The thought sent a shiver down her spine. The path to the central chamber seemed to have changed. Corridors she remembered taking were now closed, while new ones had opened. The ship was reconfiguring itself. When she finally reached the central room, she gasped. The energy restraints binding the alien had intensified. They pulsed with painful brightness, constricting tighter around the being's limbs and torso. The creature looked weaker, its color-shifting scales now dull and muted. It raised its head as she entered, those galaxy eyes fixed on her with what seemed like surprise, then something that might have been hope. "I came back," Amelia said softly. "I brought you something." She unpacked her small drone and attached the thermos of nutrient broth to it. The drone could fly through the energy barrier without being affected by the radiation. "This is food," she explained, knowing the alien probably couldn't understand her words, but hoping her tone conveyed her meaning. "It might help you regain strength." She piloted the drone carefully through the energy field. The alien watched with intense focus as the small machine approached. When it was within reach, the creature slowly extended one long-fingered hand and took the thermos. The alien studied the container, turning it in its hands. After a moment, it figured out the mechanism and opened it. Steam rose from the warm broth inside. The being lifted the container to its face and inhaled the scent. Its eyes widened slightly. Then, with deliberate movements, it brought the thermos to its mouth and drank. Amelia held her breath. Would the broth harm it? Had she made a terrible mistake? But the alien continued to drink, slowly at first, then with more urgency. When it finished, it lowered the container and looked directly at Amelia. Its scales seemed brighter now, the colors flowing more vividly across its surface. It made a sound, a melodic series of tones that rose and fell like music. "You're welcome," Amelia responded. Smiling despite her nervousness, the alien placed the empty thermos on the drone. Then, to Amelia's surprise, it raised one clawed hand and touched one of the energy filaments binding its arm. The restraint flickered. Just for a second, but Amelia saw it clearly. A disruption in the glowing pattern. The alien's eyes locked with hers. It touched the restraint again, and again there was a flicker. It was trying to tell her something. Then the creature bent down and used one claw to draw in the dust on the floor of the ship. The lines were similar to the symbols Amelia had photographed earlier, but simpler. It drew a circle with radiating lines, like a star. Next to it, it drew a humanoid figure bound in chains. Then a third symbol. The same figure, but with the chains broken. "You're a prisoner," Amelia said, understanding dawning. "These aren't security measures. They're a prison." The alien nodded, an unmistakably human gesture that startled her. It had been observing her, learning her movements. It drew more symbols, many star-like shapes moving toward a single point. Then it drew Earth's distinctive continents. Amelia felt cold fear grip her heart. "Something is coming to Earth?" The alien nodded again, then pointed to the broken chains in its drawing. "And you can help us? If you're free?" Another nod, more emphatic this time. Amelia's mind raced. This changed everything. But would anyone believe her? And even if they did, how could they free this being from restraints they couldn't even touch? A sudden noise from her communicator broke the moment. An automated message from the outpost. The security drones were changing their patrol pattern. She needed to leave now or risk discovery. "I have to go," she told the alien, "but I'll come back. I'll find a way to help you." As she turned to leave, the alien made another sound, urgent this time. It pointed to the empty thermos, then to the flickering restraint, then back to Amelia. "The soup?" she asked, confused. "Did it help with the restraints?" The alien nodded vigorously. I don't understand how that's possible, but I'll bring more next time. The creature seemed satisfied with this. It watched her go with those swirling galaxy eyes that somehow conveyed both ancient wisdom and desperate need. As Amelia made her way back through the crystal forest, her mind was in turmoil. If what the alien had communicated was true, Earth was in danger. And this mysterious prisoner might be their only hope. The moons had set by the time she sneaked back into the outpost. She slipped into her quarters undetected, hiding the drone under her bed. Tomorrow she would analyze exactly what had been in that nutrient broth that could affect alien energy restraints. As she finally lay down to sleep, Amelia's last thought was of those galaxy eyes watching her, filled with something that looked remarkably like gratitude. 3 weeks passed in a blur of activity. Earth's governments, after initial panic and disbelief, rallied around the threat. Military vessels were dispatched to Proxima Centauri b, along with scientists, diplomats, and intelligence officers. Amelia found herself unexpectedly central to it all. The partial psychic bond she shared with Lyrixian made her the ideal liaison between humans and the alien admiral. They want to know exactly what weapons the confluence uses, Amelia told Lyrixian as they walked through the crystal forest. These daily walks had become their routine, a brief escape from the constant meetings and questions. Their primary weapon cannot be defended against with your current technology, Lyrixian replied. Its scales rippled with dark blues and purples. Colors Amelia had learned indicated concern. They use neural override beams that hijack organic brains, turning victims into extensions of the hive mind. Amelia shuddered. That's horrible. Yes. My people developed shields against such weapons, but they require materials not found on Earth. Lyrixian paused, touching one of the crystal trees. It seemed to respond, its structure shifting slightly toward the alien's hand. However, there may be alternatives. What kind of alternatives? Your background in xenobotany might hold the answer. Lyrixian's eyes swirled with excited colors. There are similarities between Earth's extremophile organisms and components of Draconis biotechnology. Amelia looked up, surprised. How do you know about my work with extremophiles? From your mind, Lyrixian said simply. When our bond formed, I saw glimpses of your research. This aspect of their connection still unnerved Amelia sometimes. So you think we could develop a biological countermeasure? It's possible. The confluence's neural weapons work by manipulating specific brainwave patterns. If we could create a biological shield that disrupts those patterns. Let's get back to the lab, Amelia said, excitement building. I want to test this theory. Back at the outpost, now expanded into a major operations center, they joined the growing research team. Kimberly Foster, the military strategist sent from Earth, greeted them with her usual skepticism. Any progress on actual defenses? She asked, looking pointedly at Lyrixian. Or are we still hoping for a miracle? Perhaps both, Lyrixian replied calmly. Amelia and I may have a new approach to explore. Kimberly sighed. Well, it's better than nothing. The first Confluence scout ships have been detected at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. We have less than a week before the main fleet arrives. The news sent a chill through the room. Time was running out. Amelia and Lyrixian worked tirelessly in the lab. They tested various Earth organisms against simulations of the Confluence's neural weapons, based on Lyrixian's knowledge. Most failed, but a few showed promise, particularly a type of bioluminescent algae Amelia had discovered in the planet's northern ocean. The cellular structure is remarkably similar to the shield. Organisms my people cultivated, Lyrixian observed. Studying the algae under a microscope. With some modifications, this could work. As they continued their research, more Draconis refugees arrived, a handful of survivors who had received Lyrixian's distress call. They brought valuable technology and knowledge, but their small numbers only emphasized how devastating the Confluence's attack on their world had been. One evening, exhausted after a long day in the lab, Amelia and Lyrixian sat alone in the observation dome. The stars shone brightly above them, including the distant point of light that was Earth's sun. Tell me about your home, Lyrixian said softly. I've seen fragments in your mind, but I'd like to hear it from you. Amelia smiled, surprised by the request. I grew up on a farm in Montana. Big sky country, we call it. My family raised horses and grew wheat. Wide open spaces that seemed to go on forever. She paused, feeling a sudden pang of homesickness. I always knew I wanted to explore beyond that sky, though. That's why I joined the xenobotany program. It sounds beautiful, Lyrixian said. Different from my world, but beautiful in its own way. What was your world like? I saw images, but Draconis was older than Earth with a more stable sun. Our cities were built to blend with nature rather than conquer it. Lyrixian's scales shifted to soft golds and greens as it spoke. Our lives were very long compared to humans. I am considered young among my kind, but I have lived for over 200 of your years. Amelia's eyes widened. 200? That's amazing. Different, not better, Lyrixian replied. Your shorter lives give your species an urgency, a drive that my people sometimes lacked. Perhaps if we had been more like humans, we might have been better prepared for the confluence. Or perhaps not, Amelia said gently. Don't blame yourself for what happened. Lyrixian looked at her with those galaxy eyes. The bond between us grows stronger. You sense my feelings now. Sometimes, Amelia admitted. Is that normal? No. It is rare even among my own kind to form such connections with non-relatives. Lyrixian's voice held a note of wonder. Your act of compassion bringing nourishment to a stranger in chains, it resonated with something deep in my being. Before Amelia could respond, her communicator buzzed urgently. It was Kimberly. Get to the command center now, the strategist ordered. We've got movement. They rushed to the command center where a crowd had gathered around the main display. It showed a three-dimensional map of the solar system, with multiple red dots approaching from the outer rim. The main confluence fleet has accelerated, Kimberly announced grimly. They'll reach Earth in 36 hours. What about our countermeasure? Someone asked. It's still theoretical, Amelia replied. We need more time to develop a practical application. Time we don't have, Kimberly said. We need to deploy what we have now and hope it works. A heated debate broke out among the military and scientific leaders. Some argued for evacuation, others for a preemptive strike using Earth's nuclear arsenal. Through it all, Lyrixian remained silent, its eyes fixed on the approaching red dots. Finally, the alien spoke, and the room fell quiet. There is one possibility we haven't discussed, Lyrixian said. My ship's core contains a quantum oscillator. With modifications, it could be used to amplify the effects of our biological countermeasure, creating a shield large enough to protect the entire planet. Why didn't you mention this before? Kimberly demanded. Because the process would require a direct neural interface with the ship. For a human, it would be fatal. Lyrixian's eyes turned to Amelia. For me, the chance of survival is approximately 20%. Amelia felt her heart stop. No, there has to be another way. There isn't, Lyrixian said gently. Not with the time remaining. The room erupted in discussion again. Amelia barely heard it. She stared at Lyrixian, feeling the aliens' resolve through their bond. This wasn't a bluff or a negotiation tactic. Lyrixian truly believed this was the only way to save Earth. Later, alone in Lyrixian's ship, Amelia watched as the alien prepared the quantum oscillator, a glowing crystal sphere that pulsed with inner light. You don't have to do this, she said, knowing it was futile. Yes, I do. Lyrixian's scales had settled into a calm, deep blue. My world is gone. My people are nearly extinct, but yours still has a chance. Why? Amelia asked, tears in her eyes. Why risk everything for a planet that isn't yours? Lyrixian touched her cheek gently with one clawed finger. Because one human brought soup to a chained dragon. Because compassion transcends species, transcends worlds. It is the one thing the confluence can never understand or defeat. Through their bond, Amelia felt waves of emotion, determination, fear, but above all, a deep affection that surprised her with its intensity. The preparations will take a few hours, Lyrixian continued. The algae cultures need time to reach the proper density. I'll stay and help, Amelia said. They worked side by side, modifying the algae using techniques that blended earth science with Draconis biotechnology. As they worked, their bond seemed to strengthen further. Amelia found herself anticipating Lyrixian's needs, handing over tools before the alien asked for them. In turn, Lyrixian seemed to sense her questions, answering before she spoke them aloud. By morning, the countermeasure was ready, a glowing blue substance that seemed almost alive, pulsing in its containment vessel. The quantum oscillator had been modified to interface with it. Once activated, the oscillator will spread the countermeasure's effect throughout Earth's atmosphere. Lyrixian explained to the assembled team. Any confluence ships that enter the field will have their neural weapons disabled. And the ground forces? Kimberly asked. The same effect should protect humans from direct neural control. You will still need to fight, but at least you will fight as yourselves, not as puppets of the hive mind. Final preparations moved quickly. A platform was constructed in the upper atmosphere, where the oscillator would have maximum coverage. Amelia insisted on accompanying Lyrixian for the deployment. Despite the risks, as their shuttle approached the platform, they could see the first signs of the Confluence fleet, strange lights at the edge of space, moving with unnatural precision. They're early, Amelia said, checking the data. We have less than an hour before they're in range. Lyrixian nodded, its scales now a deep, determined purple. Enough time if we hurry.